Welcome back to Logical A Meets World. I'm Cryptoglyphics. Before I get started with today's video, I want to address some of the probably unfair and unfriendly things that I had to say about myself. This is something that I have struggled with my entire life. I have days where nothing in the day is likable or something that I find accepting. It is part of who I am, and as I stated in my introduction videos, I don't plan on editing because I can't edit my real life. And as I'm recording these videos, I am living and alive, and there is no pause or do-overs there. So going into today's video, which is part 2 in the series, Autism in the Workplace, I'm going to cover 2 parts today. One is hiring, and the other is the current hiring systems and hiring standards that exist in our world today. So I want to start with the interview process. For me personally, the interview process is a very stressful, very anxiety-inducing event that in some cases can lower the threshold to my becoming overstimulated in a situation or environment. When it comes to the interview, there are many things that I don't think employers are still prepared for, given the amount of information and detail and the length of time that autism has been studied. There isn't a checklist, there isn't a particular thing or behavior or mannerism that you can, as an employer, expect to see or observe from someone on the spectrum when they're interviewing for a position. A lot of the time, you'll find that just like in social situations, some people on the spectrum may come across as emotionless, maybe cold, abrasive, even unfriendly. These things, though they appear that way, are not the way that we intend to present ourselves. Autism just changes the way we experience the world and how we engage in it. This can present a barrier when it comes to successfully interviewing and getting a job. A lot of things that we'll come across that employers are also unfamiliar with are things like stimming, lack of eye contact, particular facial expressions that may not match what's going on in the situation, maybe even no expression. Though in some instances, autistic people will do their best to camouflage or mask their autism to get through the process. And these are terms that I want to cover in another video. Many times when it comes to stimming is going to happen based on the level of stimulation we're receiving externally from a situation, a person, or even environment. For me, I tend to stim in ways where I may do things with my hands, I may fidget with my clothes, my leg may start moving unconsciously back and forth to a point that it may be pointed out to me. Many of the things that I've just described are things that have happened in interviews, which, from the perspective of the interviewer, it's probably not surprising for them to be less interested in bringing us aboard, given that they frankly don't understand possibly what is going on at that particular point with someone on the spectrum like myself or others. I find that there is a lot that needs to be shared and learned and acknowledged when it comes to changing the current state of interviewing and hiring autistic people from a general perspective. Now, there are some companies out there that are aware and have made adaptive changes to how they hire and how they work with those on the spectrum. But some of that is still very far and few between. Now, I want to move quickly over to the hiring processes that are currently in place. Today, many of the hiring systems are coded for neurotypicals and not autistic people. Now, this isn't anyone's fault. It simply is the way it is right now. My personal belief is that autistics make up such a small portion of the population that these systems just haven't been adapted to people on the spectrum when it comes to seeking matches between companies and autistic people. Now, one of the things that I find may be a barrier there is the conception that autistic people are extraordinarily gifted in some areas. And this isn't true. Not all autistic people that you'll come across are programmers or engineers or architects. They can have a variety of strengths and weaknesses just like anyone else. Another thing that I hope I have covered to a point that you understand better is that autistic people aren't just emotionless automatons. We have feelings and emotions just like everyone else does, only our expression of them may be different. Even our ability to express them can be challenging for some. When it comes to socialization, there is an assumption out there still that autistic people are very socially awkward. Now, again, as in what I described earlier about camouflaging and masking, it's not always the case. Sometimes autistic people can do very well in social situations. There are even some cases where you may socialize every once in a while with a peer or someone you know that is not diagnosed yet. And these are things that I don't think get a lot of consideration. Lastly, when it comes to hiring systems and the hiring model, I think the hiring model needs to change. The net just needs to be cast wider. And there also needs to be a better understanding that for some of the challenges that we have being able to engage successfully in the world, there are a lot of things that we bring to the table that very few companies are experiencing right now, such as high attention to detail, strong pattern recognition. We're very visual thinkers, and we have great visual memory. Now, a lot of these can mean that your breakthroughs and realizing ideas that can be put into plans to become productive mechanisms can be missed by most other people, but not by people on the spectrum necessarily. So I hope in closing this video that you've been informed, that you find the information interesting. If you do, please like the video. As with the last video, I'll leave some links in the description below so that you can, if you'd like, look up additional information on things that I've researched. If you do like this type of content and would like more, please consider subscribing. If you want to know when the next video is uploaded, consider ringing the bell so that you'll be informed once the next one is uploaded. Until then, I am Cryptoglyphics. Have a good week.